Welcome to the Deep Dive. You know, for a lot of us here in the States, you kind of look north, across the border to Canada, and there's this curiosity. We hear bits and pieces, but what are the real reasons, the compelling ones, that make some Americans seriously think about packing up and moving to Canada?
Yeah, what's the actual pull?
Exactly. So that's what we're digging into today. We've got this really detailed article from CanadianVisa.org. It's called The Benefits of Moving to Canada from the United States.
Yeah.
Our mission here is basically to cut through all the noise, pull out the key takeaways, the nuggets of knowledge, you could say. Mm-hmm. So you, listening, get a really clear picture of why Canada seems so appealing for people thinking about relocating from the U.S.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because, we share so much history, that famously friendly border, lots of cultural overlap.
Right.
But Canada definitely has its own unique things going on that make people consider the move. We're going to touch on, everything from quality of life and healthcare to jobs, culture, the whole package, really.
Perfect. So this is your essential rundown. You'll get the info, but hopefully without feeling totally overwhelmed. Okay, let's unpack it. Looking at Canada's appeal, what does the source highlight first, like the big starting point?
Well, the article jumps right into something pretty fundamental. Canada's political stability and its focus on safety. These are presented as really core attractions.
Stability and safety.
Yeah. Compared to maybe some of the political ups and downs seen elsewhere, Canada's got this long track record of, pretty peaceful government transitions. And the stability isn't just luck, right? It's built on a strong democratic foundation, courts that operate independently, and a kind of culture of compromise. They seem to prioritize finding common ground.
So it's less about confrontation, more about consensus. That sounds like it would create maybe a more secure feeling day to day, not just an abstract idea.
It absolutely translates. If you're thinking about moving your life somewhere new, that kind of predictability, that security, it's huge. You feel your rights are protected, you can build a life without worrying constantly about major political upheaval or social unrest.
Makes sense.
And that ties directly into safety. Canada consistently ranks as one of the safest countries in the world. Crime rates are notably lower than in many other developed nations, including the U.S. in many areas. The article points to things like well-trained police, safe communities, good emergency services. It all adds up to an environment where people, especially families, feel secure.
That feeling of security, yeah, that's got to be right near the top of the list for anyone making a big move, particularly with kids. Okay, so after safety, what usually comes next? Often it's health, well-being.
Healthcare, definitely.
And Canada's system is famously different from the U.S., isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's a major differentiator. One of Canada's most sort of celebrated aspects is its publicly funded healthcare system. For permanent residents and citizens, it's universal healthcare. So unlike the situation in the U.S., where medical bills can be just astronomical, a massive source of stress and debt.
Right, a huge burden.
Canada's system covers most essential medical services. This dramatically reduces that financial anxiety around getting sick or needing treatment, whether it's just a checkup or something major.
So I can see how for many Americans dealing with, complicated insurance, high deductibles, or maybe gaps in coverage, the idea of affordable, accessible healthcare would be incredibly appealing, a game changer potentially.
It really can be.
Okay, so stability, safety, health.
Yeah.
But you also need a functioning economy, right? Yeah. Opportunities. Does the article say Canada delivers on the job front?
It does, yeah. It's another key point. Canada has a strong and, importantly, quite a diverse economy. Opportunities exist across a lot of sectors. Think tech, natural resources, healthcare is big, finance too. Cities like Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, they're highlighted as these real engines of growth and innovation. And what the article suggests is compelling isn't just that there are jobs, but that government investment in areas like, say, AI and clean energy helps create a stable, forward-looking job market, maybe more so than in places with more market volatility.
And didn't the source mention specific immigration policies, things designed to actually bring in skilled workers, like express entry? Does that work smoothly for most people, or are there catches?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
So the government uses these progressive immigration policies, and express entry is a prime example. It's basically a point system. It evaluates things like your education, your language skills, English or French, your work experience.
Yeah.
And it's designed to fast-track qualified people. So for many skilled professionals, it makes the immigration path much clearer, much more predictable. Now, is it seamless for everyone? Probably not. Success really depends on scoring well on those specific criteria. But generally, the labor market has low unemployment, good job security. And another thing the article mentioned is the support for entrepreneurs. There are programs to help people start businesses too.
That's interesting. So it's not just about finding a job, but maybe creating one too. And it's not only for highly skilled people, right? The article touched on pathways for, I think the term was low-skilled or unskilled workers. How does that fit in?
Right, that's an important piece of the puzzle. While systems like Express Entry target professionals, Canada also recognizes it needs workers in other areas. They have programs like the Temporary Foreign Worker Program. This lets Canadian employers hire internationally for jobs where there are local shortages. Could be in agriculture, hospitality, caregiving, things like that.
So temporary roles initially.
Often, yes. But crucially, some provinces also have specific nomination programs, they're PNPs, that include streams for workers in these occupations. Getting nominated by a province can be a really significant step towards permanent residency later on.
Ah, okay. So there are different routes depending on your skills and the economy's needs. That seems quite comprehensive. All right, moving on from work. Education is always huge, especially for families. How does Canada's system compare?
It stacks up very well, actually. Canada's education system gets high marks globally for both quality and accessibility. Public schools, so K through 12, are funded by the government. They're free for residents and generally maintain a high standard across the whole country.
Free K-12. That alone is a massive draw for parents compared to worries about school districts or the cost of private school in the U.S.
Definitely. It provides that stability and quality without that direct financial hit.
What about after high school, university level? Are Canadian universities considered top tier?
Oh, absolutely. Universities like University of Toronto, McGill, UBC, and Vancouver, they're not just known in Canada, they're globally ranked, often right up there with top U.S. and international schools. But here's a key difference the article highlights. Tuition fees. Generally speaking, they tend to be lower, sometimes significantly lower, than at comparable private universities in the States.
So world-class education potentially being more affordable?
Exactly. Better value, you could say, without compromising on the quality of the education itself. It's a major plus.
Okay, wow. So we've got stability, safety, healthcare, a solid economy with various pathways, and a strong education system. That's a pretty powerful combination already.
It really is.
But what about the feel of the place, the culture? Does the article suggest it's a genuinely welcoming place for newcomers, especially from the U.S.?
Yeah, it definitely dives into that. Canada's pretty famous for being welcoming and incredibly diverse. Multiculturalism isn't just a buzzword there, it's official government policy. Immigration has fundamentally shaped the country's identity, creating this environment where different cultures aren't just present, but are actively, celebrated.
So more than just tolerance, it's actual encouragement of diversity.
That's the idea the source conveys. This acceptance is reflected in policies and general societal attitudes. It suggests immigrants, including those from the U.S., often find it smoother to integrate because of this official multiculturalism policy and the support networks that exist to help newcomers settle.
Do they give examples of how that works in practice? Like beyond just food festivals, those are great too.
Well, it mentions the festivals and cultural activities in cities, which are numerous, but it implies it goes deeper into community interactions, maybe even workplace culture. It fosters this sense of belonging that could be really appealing if you're considering leaving your home country.
That makes sense. A feeling of belonging is crucial.
And speaking of quality of life, you absolutely cannot talk about Canada without mentioning the natural environment.
Oh, yeah. The great outdoors. That's immediately what comes to mind for me. Huge mountains, forests, lakes. Does the article capture that?
It really emphasizes it. Canada's landscapes are described as breathtaking, obviously. You got the Rockies out west, the coastlines on both sides, BC and the Maritimes. Just incredible natural beauty. And it's not just pretty to look at. The article stresses the abundance of national parks, hiking trails, opportunities for skiing, snowboarding, water sports. Outdoor activity is really baked into the Canadian lifestyle.
Right, like skiing in Whistler, or maybe hiking in Banff, kayaking, seeing the northern lights even, way up north. The possibilities seem kind of endless.
Totally. So for Americans who love the outdoors, or maybe want to embrace a more active, healthier lifestyle, Canada's focus on preserving and providing access to nature is a huge, huge draw.
Okay, that's a big lifestyle factor. And finally, the article mentions social support systems, the social safety net we sometimes hear about. What does that mean specifically for someone moving there?
It refers to a pretty comprehensive set of programs designed to support people through different life stages or difficulties. Think things like employment insurance or EI.
Like unemployment benefits.
Exactly. It provides temporary financial help if you lose your job through no fault of your own. Then there are significant child care benefits, subsidies, tax credits, making it easier for parents to afford child care and balance work and family.
That's a big one for working parents. What about longer-term security, like retirement?
Yep, the Canada Pension Plan, similar in concept to U.S. Social Security, provides retirement income. When you combine these things, EI, childcare support, pensions, and the universal health care we already talked about, it paints a picture of a society deeply invested in the well-being of its residents. It provides a strong foundation.
A real safety net.
Pretty much. And one last really crucial point the source makes is about citizenship, the path to becoming a full Canadian citizen.
Right, so moving there isn't necessarily the end of the journey. There's a way to become fully integrated.
Absolutely not the end. The article describes the pathway to citizenship as relatively straightforward and clear. Typically, permanent residents can apply after they've lived in Canada for a certain amount of time, usually 3 out of the last 5 years. There's also a citizenship test on basic knowledge, history, government, that kind of thing.
And passing that test and meeting the residency requirement leads to citizenship?
Generally, yes. And this ties back, as you suggested earlier, to that whole idea of inclusivity.
Yeah.
Canada's approach encourages immigrants to become citizens, to maintain their own cultural heritage, while also embracing Canadian values and contributing fully. Citizenship gives you all the rights, including voting, access to all programs. It solidifies your place there for the long term.
Okay, so let's just quickly recap the main draws we've pulled from the source for someone considering a move from the U.S. First up, that political stability and strong emphasis on safety, creating real peace of mind.
Right. Then the universal health care system, taking away a huge financial worry for many Americans.
Then, the solid economy with diverse job opportunities, supported by clear immigration paths for skilled workers, but also routes for others filling specific labor needs.
Don't forget the education system, high quality, accessible public schools, and world-class universities that are often more affordable.
Good point. Plus, that deep-rooted cultural diversity and official multiculturalism policy, making integration potentially smoother.
And of course, the incredible natural beauty and all the outdoor lifestyle opportunities that come with it.
And finally, those comprehensive social support systems, the safety net, and a clear, welcoming path to eventually becoming a Canadian citizen.
Puts it all together, yeah.
It definitely paints a compelling picture, doesn't it? Especially if you're looking for maybe a different quality of life or perhaps a shift in societal priorities compared to the U.S. So thinking about all these benefits we've discussed, the stability, the health care, the social support, it makes you wonder, what's really the most transformative part for someone moving between two developed countries like the U.S. and Canada? Is it the tangible stuff, like maybe saving money on healthcare or finding a specific job? Or is it more about those intangible things, that sense of societal harmony maybe, or feeling more secure day to day?
It's a great question to ponder. Understanding these benefits isn't just about comparing lists of features, is it? It's about imagining a potential shift in your whole daily experience, maybe even your fundamental priorities. Something for you, the listener, to definitely think about what truly defines a high quality of life for you.